Hey dudes, welcome to Splat from the Past, the only 80s themed horror and sci-fi show where things can get totally radical. Now today I am just fucking ecstatic. I can't wait. Oh man, this is going to be so cool. I got a really great guest today. You've never heard of him, and you've most likely never heard of the movie he was in. His name is Joss Marcano, and he was in the movie Delivery Boys. It was a 1985 teen sex comedy movie from New World Pictures. Very funny movie. It's like a cross between Porky's and Breaking 2 Electric Boogaloo. It's teen sex and breakdancing all in one, and it's a fucking hilarious movie. And Josh was the star of the movie, the main star. He's got the introducing credit, and he sings a couple songs in the movie, but it's his one and only movie credit. And I'm going to be talking to him today to find out what the fuck happened. Why did his career not work out, or did he leave the business? I'm going to be just finding out all the answers to those questions in just a moment, because I love the movie. It's hilarious. The guy even gets to kiss a very young Lisa Vidal while he's dressed in drag. Gotta love that, man. You just gotta love that. So, yeah, here is my interview with Joss Marcano. Hey, Joss.
Tommy?
Yes, indeed. How you doing?
How are you?
I am great. How you doing?
Good, my friend. Good, thank God. He's well. I'm glad to hear so.
Oh, my God. Thank you so much. Welcome to the show.
Oh, thank you so much for having me. It's such a thrill and a pleasure to be able to be part of your show. Thank you so much.
My pleasure, sir. I mean, like I told you in the Facebook message, you know, Delivery Boys is one of my favorite movies of all time, and we'll get into that in a bit. But
Sure. Yes, sir.
I wanted to go all the way back to the beginning. So where are you originally from?
Well, I was born in Puerto Rico, and then we migrated here at 4.5 years of age to Times Square, Hell's Kitchen area. I grew up there. I went to school in the area, and then I moved out to Jersey in '97. After that was long after, but the Delivery Boys was done we were breakdancing like in the 80, 81, 82.
Right.
And then we did the movie in like 84.
Right.
Yeah, 84.
Now, what did you want to do when you were a kid? I mean, was acting and singing part of the plan?
Never, man. My desperation was in trying to find some way to help my mom and dad, and more of mom, because mom was bipolar.
Oh.
And she created a lot of sadness and anxiety in my life, because she would get dragged over to like the Bellevue Hospital, and then they would put her on stuff or whatever treatment they would give her, and then I would go see her, and she would sometimes spend months there. So my whole deal was that I was going to do something to change everything, to be able to help my mom and do, I don't know if it was sports related or entertainment, but I always had a bug for entertainment, because entertainment was the place where I would lose myself from all the trouble. Say Calvin maybe, or I don't know, it was a whole host of like entertainers that I would kind of like forget, all the stuff that was going on in my world.
Yeah.
Yeah. But in the end, I ended up not following through a lot of that stuff. And as you know, when you get old, you think back and you say to yourself, maybe I should have been more patient or persevered. I didn't want to do these bad guy roles that we did. We did another old movie called Splat, and that was a gangster kid.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah, for like 3 seconds. I mean, John Leguizamo was in that movie too. That was his very first film a long time ago.
Oh, wow.
He was from the area.
Yeah.
So, yes, sir. So that's what the whole deal was in the end. Because when I saw the opportunity, I said, well, maybe somehow this is it. But then in the end, I didn't know. I didn't think anyway. I guess I was wrong. That maybe I could get other roles, because I looked at the D-boys and wow, they're naked, half naked, dressed as a woman. Doing all these things.
Yeah.
I'm like, I suppose anyone's gonna want to do anything with this nutcase here, running around. So that's what happened, I think, in the end.
Wow, yeah.
I did do other auditions and stuff, but
yeah, wow, I can relate to the bipolar stuff. My mom's got that. She inherited it from my grandmother.
sorry to hear that.
Yeah, well, it's actually controlled. It's not as bad. I mean, she's never had to be in the hospital for a long period of time, but she does have stuff. She takes medication. Yeah. Yeah.
My friend, yes, sir. Yeah, that's the good stuff. But I mean, I still did stuff to help mom here or there, but needless to say, if maybe I got lucky somewhere along the way, and I kept going, and somewhere along the way, sometimes you get lucky. And maybe I could have done something differently, but I can't live my life like that either.
Yeah.
So,
But you never did plays or choir in school or nothing?
yeah, in school we did. Let's see, there was a gong show. I played Chuck Barris. That was a big deal over there in the elementary school. That was what a thrill that was to do, and have the audience and everybody was laughing, and I imitated him. I had the hair like him. And I did. Yep. So let's see. Then I was a musician, trumpet. Second trumpet was not the lead trumpet, but I was part of the group that played. And Mr. Martin, thought we were okay. So I suppose that was part of my the art. But art's always been such an important part of my life in one way or another. I ended up for 30 some odd years singing at a little church in Manhattan. Actually, was part of the filming of Delivery Boys Church.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, sir. I worked as a volunteer cantor, quote unquote.
Yeah.
Even though I'm not Jewish per se, we're Christians, but I was the church cantor for 30 some odd years, and that helped alleviate some of the need to create. But then recently I went to Ecuador on one of my many excursions with my missus of a long time. And I went to Ecuador, and I found that I at least if I can go on stage somewhere and do some stand-up,
yeah,
time and again, I think I can do it. I think I can do it. It's like the song.
Yeah, I've been a stand-up for 12 years now.
Yeah, I was reading about you. I'm like, Tommy Kovac. It's awesome, man.
Yeah.
Stuff. You got to keep doing what you love to do.
Yeah.
And that's the only advice at this point. The page I can offer, I guess.
Yeah. So let me tell you my history with this movie. In 1997, I was 14 years old, and I rented this movie from the video store called Breaking All the Rules, which is a Canadian teen sex comedy movie from New World Pictures. And the trailer for Delivery Boys was at the beginning of the movie, and I thought to myself, that looks pretty funny. So I went to the video store next day, and it wasn't there. So 5 years later, I move into this apartment, and there's a video store across the street, and I go, and I see Breaking All the Rules again on the shelf, and I rent it, and I was like, oh, there's that movie I never got to see. And then I went back the next day, it wasn't there, so I went on Amazon.com, and this was just before Amazon became a huge business that it is.
I remember.
So I bought Delivery Boys. I bought this really cheap copy of it that had like a really bad speed, and it was really grainy and stuff, and watched it, fell in love with it, and then about a year later, I moved back to my old area, and I went to that video store, and they had it on the shelf, and I couldn't believe it because it wasn't there 6 years before, you know. So, so I rented it and saw the better version of it on tape and loved it. And then a couple years later, when the store went out of business, I bought like most of their VHS stock, including that, and had it up until about 4 years ago. And I was homeless for a little while, and I had to give away most of my VHS stock. But you know, it's always been one of my favorite movies of all time.
Wow. Wow. Yeah, the gist of Delivery Boys was funny and funnier, and then there was some sexual stuff in between, which was a lot of fighting. Put it that way. Well, wait a minute. Oh, wait a minute. Can we? Oh, no, it's got to be this. And the producer was a porno dude producer.
Yeah, Chuck Vincent.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So you're like, there's not enough sexuality. Like, oh, please, this was supposed to be, you know, like funny, so like kids kind of. You can't have any of this.
Yeah.
So that went out the window quick. Yeah, that was the pre-production meeting. It went south. So then there was more, there's more vaginas and whatever else, on this full display. And then it's just, but the gist was funny. These poor kids, no one looks at each other any differently. We're all one and the same.
Right.
As far as we're all trying to make it, trying to do something good with our lives. And that's what Delivery Boys was all about. These poor kids trying to make it good. Now, the bad kids, that was a whole other story, because what ended up happening in the end with the Delivery Boys was that they got buried by the studio.
Yeah.
Because one of the people in the film had, he wasn't happy with his end of what happened, of the final production, and then he had a lot of friends. So they buried the movie.
Wow.
Yeah. That's why it was only shown in a few theaters nationwide, and then on HBO and Cinemax a couple of times, and then that contract buried. So, but hey, what are you gonna do? That's the way it goes sometimes.
Wow.
It would have been funny for I still met people out of nowhere. I love the little movie Delivery Boys. It touches me because I'm like, these are really smart people who take the time to be able to sit through the whole thing. Because just coming off of 9/11, when I think of the final scene and those two towers.
Yeah.
There's some weird connection that we were filming there underneath there, and it was like such a wonderful place, and we were thinking such wonderful thoughts, and now you look back on it, and so much of you is sad, looking back at those two towers, for me anyway, growing up in Manhattan.
Yeah.
I was there before the towers.
Yeah.
We used to walk down the West Side Highway, the elevated West Side Highway that had closed off because a truck fell through the roadway.
Mm-hmm.
The truck threw it through the roadway. They closed it down, but we used to walk all the way down to the end of the city where they were building these huge buildings.
Right.
This was like 72, something like that.
Yeah.
So all that got lost, but there's still places in the world, like new places in India, of all places. They left Delivery Boys.
Yeah. That's crazy. Oh man.
That's crazy stuff. But
So
I get a kick out of it because I did. Oh yeah, when I was a kid, I did a movie called Willie and I for French TV. A small crew came down and they filmed for about 3 or 4 weeks. I remember getting a fistful of money. I was shocked. I was like, wow. We ran around with these cameras throughout New York City, and we were boxers. So Willie and I were filming so that they can show kids in France what kids in the U.S. do, or in the inner cities.
Mm-hmm.
So they were following us around with their cameras, and it was about boxing, and it was filmed in New York. But I never forgot that they paid us a bunch of money, and I'm like, wow. I said, Mom, you hold that. I don't even know what to do with that. I was, I guess, about 8 years old, 9 years old.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So was it an audition process though for Delivery Boys?
Oh man, I wasn't part of it. No, I was working as a volunteer on the set, on the pre-production, and then I run around, get the coffee,
Uh-huh.
do all the run around. And then everyone was getting lined up. They gave me a small role. My buddy Rodney Harvey, rest in peace, I miss him. So he was a friend, truly a friend. He came from Philadelphia.
Mm-hmm.
We died, I think, in '93. Yeah. He had his role. My best friend Nelson had a role he was going up for. It looked like pretty much he was the guy for. Another friend of mine had a role. I had nothing. And then there was a guy, Isai Morales, from Bad Boys with Sean Penn, way back a long time ago.
And La Bamba. Yeah.
So Isai wanted the part, didn't want the part, wanted the part, didn't want the part, but he couldn't break dance or lick words anyway. Well, neither could I too much either. The real break dancers were everybody else around me. I was twisting in the wind with some super talented people that I had no idea how I got there.
Mm-hmm.
And I was just trying to swim along with them. Wow, these guys were amazing. So he says he wants the part, he doesn't want the part. He doesn't want to get naked, he'll get naked. In the end, on the final day of that they had to come to the decisions, I said, can I try out for the role of partner? And they said, absolutely not. He says, oh, okay. They says, well, why not? He says, because you're too small. And then, you got to be a drag, you got to be with you look like you're 12 years old, you got to be with the porn star girl, and the naked scene, and that, okay. But then they said, all right, but just for shits and giggles, if it's okay to curse here.
Yeah, you can curse all you want, man.
They said, go ahead, give it a shot.
Yeah.
And I delivered it because I had just broken up with my wonderful young lady I knew at the time who was going to be Mrs. Marcano forever. So I was emotional, I hit it, another part for them, they said. They were shocked. I, of course, was shocked. My buddy Nelson was shocked. He had no idea I had memorized the script from back to front because I was working on the pre-production and all along the way.
Mm-hmm.
I have a terrible thing about memory. I remember stuff that I have no business remembering. I'm trying to forget stuff.
Right.
So, they said, let's do it again. Figuring it was a fluke. It didn't end up on the final, the filming the way it did, and there was some variables in there. When you act, all of a sudden it's, instead of it being 60 degrees inside an office, it's 20 degrees, and you're in your underwear. And it's like a skirt kind of thing, with pantyhose.
Right.
That's right, they were paying. It wasn't volunteer. So, it didn't finally end up on filmed the way it did when we filmed it for the final audition, and they said, wow, this is like really difficult all of a sudden because this is what we were looking for. And I said, well, yeah, because I think you need some help for breakdancing, and then I can sing,
Mm-hmm.
So then they said, I'll go home, everybody go home. Then about 2 hours later, I get a phone call at home that says, we want to give you a part. I said, no. They said, Eastside doesn't want it. You know it. He says, we want to ask you a point. I was like, wow. Of course, Mom didn't understand.
Yeah.
She goes, Mom, I might be able to do this or that. And she says, oh, okay. He says, less drugs.
Less drugs, that's good.
Less drugs. I said, no, Mom, her thing was, she thought I was selling drugs, right? She didn't know I was doing drugs, I was selling drugs. So I said, no. This is really having to do one with the other. This is straight up, and then she says, I'll never forget, you're not Prince and you're not Michael Jackson.
Oh, man.
I wish I was either. I'm neither. I'm just me. I don't know what's going on. We're going to film this film and let's give it up. So she never believed any of it until like years later when she saw it on HBO by fluke, and like she called me at 2 o'clock in the morning.
Mm-hmm.
And I had already. I took a bunch of money that I had made, and I got a loan for the original Ubers, basically. It was a computerized cab.
Mm-hmm.
Like a black car, almost a limo, but it wasn't. I ran around New York City 14, 16 hours a day for a bunch of years doing that.
Mm-hmm.
She called me at 2 in the morning after I had just gotten home from the shift that started at 6 and finished at 10 p.m.
Right.
Honey, she's crying. I'm like, Mom, what's wrong? What's the matter? ¿Qué le pasa? Amigo, I'm watching TV and I'm like, what the hell? I'm watching you on TV. You were true. You were honest. You were doing film work. I said, oh shit, Mom. 2 o'clock in the morning. I gotta be up by 5. I said, don't worry about nothing. I'll call you tomorrow. We'll talk about it further. And I hung up the phone. I'm like, geez, because once she thought I was doing all this other stuff, I got the food. I had to now leave the house and pay rent and all that. I think it was to like $1,400 a month back then,
Mm-hmm.
which now would be a steal.
Yeah.
Rent for like $4,000. Oh, please, $4,000. I'll pay to own something somewhere else, right? Yeah, I'll figure it out. So, that was Mom. That was Mom's phone call, and that's when I realized, what can you do? I'm already, $50,000. I had borrowed, I guess, $25,000, $23,000.
Mm-hmm.
And I just was at that point dedicated to having it work that hard, make sure that whole thing worked out. 20-something grand back then is like $100,000 now, something.
Wow. Yeah.
30-something years.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
But you got to kiss Lisa Vidal in drag.
Lisa Vidal, what an amazing lady. She always kept her career going. Beautiful woman, incredibly talented.
Yeah.
Very nice person. That I got the two term with complete fluke. Let there be no doubt in anybody's mind that was only because the script called for it. Otherwise, she'd have found some other way around it. She could do a billion times better in half.
Yeah, I tried to get an interview with her, but she's like royalty in Hollywood. You have to go through agents and stuff, and it's okay.
Yeah, well,
it's okay. Someday I will. Someday.
there should be less of that. People should, be able to say, hey, listen, I want to have this conversation and it is what it is.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I understand as a press person, all kinds of barriers before you can actually speak to someone. I've never reached out to Lisa in all the years because I know that, once, folks get to a certain place or position, quote unquote, things change. So I only had access to her back then when we were filming a movie and a little bit afterwards. pleasure of knowing her further. But she was a very nice person.
Did you know that her and Barrio Van Peebles were going to become stars back then?
I never looked at the world that way in terms of stars, I guess, back then, because a lot of my friends are quote-unquote stars, but I just see them. And as far as, the word stars to me is kind of, I guess it's something that we use to describe people, but yeah, I thought so. Yeah, Mario and Lisa,
Mm-hmm.
I would have thought that maybe Lisa could have done more with the Spanish market.
Oh.
The Hispanic, the Latino market, be it Latin America, South America, Mexico, all that is huge, and to use it, I think she does that. I haven't followed her enough to know really.
Mm-hmm.
She does, being that she's a Spanish speaker and all. But there's a whole world out there that she's actually conquered anyway. So, my buddy Nelson Vasquez continues to work here, there.
Yeah.
He's done stuff with all kinds of people over the years. He's great. He's such an intense actor. I always look forward to tuning in and watching Nelson doing something.
I'm interviewing Tom on Friday.
Oh, really? Tom Sergio?
Yeah.
Oh, man, Tom is the man.
Yeah.
Tom, another one that continues to do stuff, over the years.
Yep.
And he's another guy that I had, there's a Victor Colicchio, is another guy that I had no idea how I got involved with people like that. Neither were, super talented folks that, I was just blessed to know and hang out with for a little bit.
Yeah.
Watch them do their thing. Yeah, no, I remember Warhol kind of, I don't know if there's this, but as he looked out in the cast of this movie he was co-producing. Not the crew. He looked at them different.
Yeah.
It was the cast that I wanted to walk over to him and give him a hug. Sir, I don't know you from a hole in the wall, but let me give you a hug. It's gonna be all right. Slender fella of kind of blondish hair.
Yeah.
And he's very quiet and like hanging on the wall, looking. I don't know if it was fearful. A complete abject disappointment. And the crew, not the crew, the cast that's been assembled for his beloved film. I think it was like one of the first or few he did before he passed.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh.
And what's his name? Jim.
Oh, Jim. He passed on years ago. Darn. I can't remember his name right now.
Yeah.
I apologize.
That's okay.
Yeah, I got him. Yeah, he was Conrad.
Yeah, Conrad.
And the Delivery Boys. Yeah. Yeah, we were all. It was some mix of people. I mean, you had Samantha Fox. Samantha Fox went on to do music.
Who did she play?
She played one of the. It's not even right. This is what it's the credit I think says. One of the bimbos.
Oh, one of the bimbos.
You see why I'm never going anywhere? Because I'm going to tell it like it is. That's what the thing said on the credit. She was one of the dancers in the scene where Conrad, they were experimenting on him.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
So, but she went on to do a lot of music and stuff.
Of course.
So, yeah. So.
And Jodie Oliver, she's hilarious.
Jodie, that's one thing. I think she did a great job. Yep. I think she did exactly what was called for, but apparently, I don't know, whoever supposedly is in the know, I'm like, the hell with the know, we're just trying to laugh.
Yeah, she's a funny
You
girl.
need a freaking laugh here because the things just get too serious. People, I mean, you got people walking around with their finger on the nuclear button or the nuclear football running around. Everybody seems to have one on the other side as well, so you need to get have a good laugh every now and then. Otherwise you're losing.
Yeah.
So, yeah,
A lot of people don't know, too. Ken Handler's parents created Barbie.
oh, yeah, no. Ken Handler's parents was really the big driving force. She was a titan.
Right.
She was a economic powerhouse in and of herself, and with ideas and a thing. Her doll, her Barbie doll, running around in a truck back in the 1940s. A little tiny lady.
Yeah.
Probably all you could see was the knuckles coming. The knuckles coming, and all you see is like a pair of knuckles at the top of the steering wheel. But she was tiny.
Right.
Driving a truck. Big old truck. Yeah. Everybody said, what are you doing driving that truck, probably? Everybody, all the guys were like, ha, ha, ha. Meanwhile, ha, 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 she's got $1 million worth of dollars back there.
Mm-hmm.
That belong to her.
Yep.
Yeah, that's true.
So how did you get to sing songs for the movie?
I got to sing the songs for the movie because it was, I'm still looking for the music guys for the movie. We have to have a couple of words.
Yeah. Where's my residuals, bitch?
So all the things going on there. I mean, we could have done better with the music.
Yeah,
But what you have, man, it was, I ended up, I guess, to save money.
yeah.
Yeah.
Those last 5 minutes of the movie when you guys are under that bridge and you're singing that beautiful
I love that
song. Yeah, it's so poignant and so moving that when I was 19 and I first saw it, I didn't think that it fit in with the rest of the movie. But now that I'm older, I have a lot more appreciation for it.
The lady that did that, I wish I could find her because she was just amazing. She spliced together a whole bunch of moments there and with that song and it was really she wasn't the editor for the film, it was Gary, but she was amazing. I think she did a wonderful job with the end because she did the best she could to tie as much as it all in together. And to give us a moment of kind of reflection and in the end we were all hanging out together, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Along the water side there, and that's U.S. It's just like nothing. I think our gang, the kids,
Little Rascals.
the little rascals. That's what our country truly is, and that's what I thought in the end was representing most in that final scene was, we went through all this stuff, and in the end, well, we're still all hanging out together, and that's what it's all about.
Mm-hmm.
That's what it's all about.
So the movie comes out, or just barely comes out, because somebody had a grudge and they had some people bury it. And what happens to you? I mean, what are your feelings on it?
At that point, I'm like, well, this is the one thing that I've done so far, and I can tell it's going just as planned, just as they explained, but they were going to get cash from. Fox wanted to go to England, or to Europe rather, and release it out there. And see how it went from there, and then perhaps bring it back in. But they weren't willing to pay a whole lot of cash up front. Most of the world, which was willing to pay cash up front, but then agreed to this deal whereby they would run it on a couple of the the HBOs and whatnot, but then
Yeah.
shut it down. So that was very disappointing for me because I'm like, you know, it didn't get anywhere, but I shouldn't. In retrospect, I should have just said, well, okay, well, what can you do? And I actually went up for a movie called Ishtar, a terrible movie.
Oh, God.
The best stuff. I only go up for the best or the worst.
Yeah, it is one of the worst movies. With Dustin Hoffman, Warren Beatty. Yeah.
Yeah. They met me. I was doing we were doing a couple of songs with one.
Mm-hmm.
I was doing the open mic with my coach, my beloved friend, David Page, wonderful friend of mine from passed away 30 years, 20-something years ago.
Mm-hmm.
And we're singing a song, an old Urban Berlin tune, What'll I Do? And a bunch of limousine pulls up, and a bunch of people get out, and they walk into the restaurant and sit down at a big table, round table. I finished the song, David, let's go. David, about 400 some odd pounds at the time on a 5'9" frame, way overweight.
Mm-hmm.
Old gay guy, music player for the church, just wonderful person. He gets down the steps from the thing, and we're leaving, and a guy walks over to me and he says, hey, and I look at him, and you know, I don't really put together things too quickly. So he says to me, hey, you think you could sing a song again, that same song for us?
Mm-hmm.
Look at the table of people. I said, I suppose so. I walk back and tell David, you're not going to believe this, but I think it's Dustin Hoffman, and he wants me to sing that song again. And David says, F you, Dustin Hoffman's not here. I'm not climbing up those stairs again.
Oh, man.
I said, David, I swear to you, I think it's Dustin Hoffman. He says, Josh, you really. He says, but I'm going to do it. So we go back up, we sing the song. On my way out the door again, he says, the same fellow walks over to me and he says, that's Dustin Hoffman. And I look at David and he's like, shocked. So he says, hey, kid, come here. I says, yeah. I want to introduce you to a couple of people. He says, okay. He says, that's Julie Christie, that's Elaine May, that's this, and that's Warren Beatty. And I recognized Warren Beatty and Dustin Hoffman. I was like, whoa. He says, do you think you can come over tomorrow morning to such and such, I forget what the heck it was,
Mm-hmm.
to audition for a movie? I says, yeah. So he says, all right, we'll see you. Come on over. I guess he told me like 9, 10 o'clock. I got over there and knock on the door. I walk in. There was 1,000 people look just like me.
Wow.
Fuck. Competition here. Yeah, they all look like me, or better.
That's showbiz.
Yeah, better than me, by far. So I'm like, wow. And I walk over to the receptionist lady and I tell her, hey, listen, I'm here because Mr. Hoffman told me to come in. She says, Josh, I couldn't believe it. I says, yeah. She says, come with me. All right. We go. Mm-hmm. Everybody was pissed off at me then.
Mm-hmm.
You see the whole crowd. What the hell? What just happened? I walked in, and I see the same guy. What's Dustin Hoffman? I'm like, wow. He says, have a seat. And he's asking me about me, and then he asked me who you study with. I study with Mr. Bill Hickey.
Oh, really? Yeah, William Hickey.
Little Mr. Hickey.
Yeah, Prizzy's Honor.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I love Mr. Hickey. That was my buddy, but then, you know, time passes on and it takes our dear people from us sometimes. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So he says, you studied with Bill Hickey. I says, yeah. I'm thrilled to. Why? What's with that? He says, I'll get in touch with Bill. I says, yeah, you remember. So he talks to Mr. Hickey. Mr. Hickey tells him he lied to me.
Mm-hmm.
And then Mr. Hoffman says, oh, and he's like, come on, sit down, and we're going to go over these lines. He says, oh, that's good. That's good. Why don't you go downtown to 18th Street and Broadway or something like that, and see so-and-so, they'll be waiting for you.
Yeah.
Okay, I get on the train, I head downtown, get to 18th Street and whatever the heck those, there's like buildings down there they use. I don't know if they're still doing the same thing in that area, either for rehearsal space or for acting stuff. I get in and Beatty was there, Warren Beatty. So I'm going to talk to him for a minute.
Yeah.
I talked to Hickey already. Hickey talked like I told you, he lied.
Yeah.
Later on, I told him, did you prefer cash, or do you just want me to be your slave for the next 6 months? I'll run around, buy you groceries, I'll drive you somewhere. No, Josh. It's okay. He said, you should have cash. No, Josh, don't worry about it. No. So, read with him, and he says, oh, that's good. And then I had to go wait a couple of days, read with Elaine May.
Yeah.
Hide her hair, because there was no internet back then. I couldn't go online to find out who's Elaine May.
Right.
This Tommy Kovac, this Tommy Genius. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Can't get that stuff back then.
Nope.
So, I go there, and then she says, oh, that's very good, that's wonderful. Then we'll have you back. I guess it was in another few days I would be back to film for Los Angeles.
Right.
Okay? So, this is time, now I'm good. Because now I've been running around pretty good, and I'm thinking to myself, I might get this part.
Right.
I could get this part. Well, I go and I read for LA. They loved it. Then one Splat call. Come on in. Come on in. I regret answering that call.
Yeah. Showbiz.
South, Tommy said when it stopped right there. When they told me, I should have said, listen, I'm dying right now. I'm dead. You're not even talking to me. This is a recording. Something. I just came back from Central Park. I'm 5'5.5" or so, I say.
Yeah.
Weigh about 45 when I'm wearing everything I own wet. I drank that day, I guess, 4 beers.
Wow.
Hammered.
Yeah.
Hammered. When I got the call, I should have just said, this is his twin brother. He's not here right now. I'll let him know when he gets back, and then the next day he called me. Or 2 days after that, I could have dried up a little bit better. Plus, the system was drying me up a lot sooner than it would be today, per se. Today it would take me a week to get over what I used to get over overnight.
Yeah.
In terms of alcohol consumption, libation, as it were.
Right.
So I went in, dropped the ball all over the place.
Yeah.
Put it up. Yep, you can imagine. Don't worry about it. I got this. Yeah, she says, I remember Miss Payne says, okay, thank you so much. And then she pulled me over to the side. She said, Josh, what happened? And I just looked at her like, fucking, the Irish influence, man.
The Irish influence. That's good. I like that.
I blamed it on my buddy Kelly next door, quick. I grew up with heavily influence of Irish folks. When we got old enough, we had a couple of beers. So quick. And
Yeah.
whiskey. And then beer. And then whiskey. I just joking, man. That's the truth, though. That's what happened with that. And then at that point, I was, you know what? I don't want to know from any of this. I could care less. I just want to be a happy man, make a bunch of money, and have a family and all that. And that's what I did after that. We got married. then got divorced. And helped raise my daughter, nevertheless. Never went anywhere far from my daughter whatsoever. She always, once a week, knew she was going to hang out with dad. And of course, child support and all that goes with that. Being a responsible dad, in spite of the divorce, was extremely important. So, and then I remarried. I don't know what the woman now, poor thing, has been sentenced to this since 96, 97. We've been together, so. Yeah, that's a lifetime for her. I don't know what she did wrong along the way. I told her, you can always repent, and ask for forgiveness kind of thing, and maybe things will turn around for you.
Yeah.
Because, yeah, after this 20-some-odd year thing here you got going, you poor thing. Well, that works both ways. Hopefully she won't read the transcript. Yeah, I'll be on the sofa. Thanks for Tommy Kovac podcast.
Yeah. Wow, that.
Man, it's great. It's great speaking with you, and just, it's an honor and a thrill for me to be able to be on the podcast and share some time with you. I know that, you got nothing you got to do. Me, I could be the same night, so I could talk about this stuff all night because I was really hoping to be able to have more people sharing and the feeling of the delivery boys. And everything else that went along with it for me. We put a lot of effort into, trying to give this positive message to people to laugh, to take it easy, and to not be serious all at the same time. You don't have to, any extreme is bad. So.
I agree with you. A couple of years ago, I had a bad car accident. I was in a coma for 30 days, man.
Wow.
Yeah.
Reading about that, and I'm like, wow. I remember being in a coma as a kid too. I had a rheumatic fever for like 2 weeks. I don't know if you experienced any of this weird stuff. I actually remember somewhere I was looking down on myself. Looking to myself in that incubator kind of thing. I remember what the nurses looked like, what the whole place looked like. So it was an out-of-body kind of thing. I guess I was about to go.
Yeah, after I got back from after I got back from my coma, I just thought to myself, I got to pursue show business because that's what I was meant to do. Because I put it off for like 4 years because I was drinking and being an alcoholic idiot. And so I've been pursuing it, and thank God for the podcast world, finding out how tough show business is and what you got to do, because I had no friends or mentors when I started, and I still don't, so I'm pretty much a lone wolf when it comes to showbiz.
Wow. So, but you've been at it now for like 12 years, though.
Yes.
So you got people calling you, you got places you go and do your stand-up by now, I'm sure.
No, I'm doing most of the call-in and the booking and stuff, but I got this podcast. I'm almost 200 episodes in, and
That's awesome.
I started this, with my iPhone and everything, and I've been doing it, and I've been so lucky with all the guests I've gotten and making contacts and everything. I'm just so lucky.
Well, yeah, you make your own luck too in many ways, so that's why you're continuing to be successful and steady as she goes, because that's any business is like that. I remember starting my business now. I strictly work with people that have Medicare, older folks, and they get 80% coverage when they retire.
Right.
So the struggle is to find 20% coverage. That's all the coverages they need, and have them cost zero or next to that. Because they can't afford it. Our seniors, man, our society decided that older folks don't have enough of a value, and so at the time when they get older, we're just kind of turning away from them. And that's opposite of what goes on throughout the rest of the world. Many other places society. But as far as longevity is extremely important.
Right.
As you continue, you'll find that one thing leads to the next episode. And strangely enough, you'll find yourself, it's kind of like that song from the 80s, letting the days go by.
Oh, yeah, Once in a Lifetime, Talking Heads.
Right. There you go. Letting the days go by. And, well, you know, you're in a wonderful place because you're doing what you love to do.
Yes.
And while it's work, it sometimes doesn't even seem like work.
Nope. I'm just having fun doing this. And I'm so lucky and so honored that I got to talk to you today. And I appreciate you taking the time out of your busy schedule, Josh.
Listen, it's a great honor and a pleasure. Again, I say that because it is. And I thank you. And long live the D-Birds. And, you know, I look forward to hearing bigger, greater things. I'll go to L.A. at some point, God willing, and be able to stop by a show or something. We'll keep in touch.
Absolutely.
You know, I look forward to hearing from you again, my friend Tommy.
Yeah,
Great time.
Yeah, you come out to see me, I'll give you the VIP treatment because you'll always be a star to me, Josh. God bless you, man.
Thank you so much. Likewise, Tommy. Thank you, Mr. Kovac. Thank you so much. God bless you, my brother.
God bless you. Have a great night.
Take care. You too.
Take care. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Well, there you have it. Josh Marcano. Ain't he a cool dude? Thank you so much, Josh. I'm really glad I got to talk to you because you are a very insightful man full of wisdom and experience and great stories. I mean, those are some of the best movie stories I have ever heard on the show, and I mean that sincerely. They're pretty good. Those are stories you can't find out about. You can't find out really, really good stories about exploitation films, but those stories you had, those were pretty golden and stuff, and I'm pretty amazed. If you like this video, everyone, please subscribe to my YouTube channel, add me as a friend on Facebook, join my Tommy Kovac comedian page on Facebook, follow me on Twitter and Instagram, and all that fun stuff. Well, that's all the time we have this week on Splat from the Past. Until next time, this is Tommy Throwback Kovac saying, there's no shame in living in the past because the present sucks. Later, dudes.